to 1,000%. No, damn, it's not 1,000% uptime. It's 100% 0%. 100% uptime. Welcome to the show, everyone. If you didn't know, Sloth did a fake show the other day, called it 100% downtime or something, and I have to call him out for that because actually I got on his stream and called him out in person and told him my lawyers would be in contact with trademark infringement and multiple dollars damages due to non-monetization policies. So we were friends. We were stole my brand. Just kidding. Just kidding. Everyone, this should be a fun show today. I've got a surprise guest on, and I've been going through this weekend myself, my journey to learning all the validator stuff. Really, Richard's dev updates inspired me to actually figure out how this stuff works. And it's not easy, I will tell you that. At least, so I've been setting up an Ethereum client on the Guerrero, I don't know how to pronounce that, Guerrero network, Testnet, and stuff is all over the place. Post merge, it's kind of crazy. A lot of chaos of like, how can I get validator go ETH to fund the validator? Is there a faucet? And then you got to go on Discord and ask for this thing, and it's a bunch of crazy stuff. So that's been a journey, much more complicated than I thought it would be. But then just in general, learning all the parts of the system, how validators work, what is a node, what consists of it, what are the clients. So we talked about the clients and stuff before. Yeah, that's what Richard's given a lot of the dev updates on. But how do they work in the system? How do you set them up? The security aspect of it. The cloud part I already knew. I had a lot. That was the easy part, was like setting up the actual server and specifications to do it. But man, there's a lot of stuff to do on the inside. So my plan is to figure out how to get the Ethereum testnet validator set up and running. And then I can use that when testnet v3 launches, which could be any day now. That would be nice. No expectations, but seems closer than it was yesterday. That it's an easy transition to go over and start documenting and doing content on how to set up PulseChain testnet node. And yeah, a lot of the content's transferable because it's a fork. So pretty straightforward from that. And I'll write some setup scripts and stuff for it as well. Open source software, they're bash scripts, so I don't really consider that coding, but that I guess technically is code. Really just commands you put that run in sequence. Anyways, say hi to the chat real quick before we bring on a surprise guest. Hex Moly, throwing the tomatoes. That's true. I'm late, but my sponsor today has provided a glorious Red Bull latte, Red Bull, and I got to do this and click like 5 buttons and go like and subscribe to Red Bull channels, but they pay me well to do it, so it's totally worth it. Just kidding. I get paid nothing. I make my own. What's up, Sloth? Sloth is here. That's right. A mole and a sloth deadly combo, especially around tomatoes. I mean, I would pay to see that fight. If you guys ever want to do a death match, Vagrant style, between you and Sloth going after tomatoes, I'd pay to see that, or just the animals. Analogy, recreation as well. If it was a fake show, why was GIF there? Oh, you got me on that. Wherever GIF shows up, it's a real show. That's true. What's up, Jacob's Hex Ladder? Good to see you, man. I've been seeing you must be interested in PulseChain. Been seeing you on the last few PulseChain shows lately. Anyways, share the link if you want other people to see the content, and ask good questions if you want to. But we're gonna get into it. I'm bringing in. I have found the one PulseChain developer who's going to spill all the beans about the story about Richard Hart and why he's always delayed. Welcome to the show, Hexadon.
Hello, how you doing?
He's like, that was not the introduction that we discussed. Just a correction. This is not a PulseChain developer. This is just someone in the community who has some very good tweets lately. It's piqued my interest to talk about.
Thank you.
Yes. Everyone, don't start now. Oh, now we got 300 people in here. Now we can start the show since I snagged the bag on the PulseChain developer.
Right. Yeah.
Well, man, it's good to see you. Like I said, we're talking in the green room for the last few days. We've been putting together some content, trying to bring some value to the community on PulseChain. I'll talk about Ethereum a little bit too, just because.
Well,
before
we get started, I just want to say,
Sure.
Big fan. I've watched your show. It's awesome. Especially, I saw the one last week with Jake and Maximus. That was awesome. I think you did a great job. And
Thank you.
yeah, big fan. You've become like a behemoth in the space very quickly. I spent a lot of time watching the other influencers like Crypto 7, Crypto Coffee, Hexologist, and so I think you have exploded quickly. So it's cool to see.
Thank you. I'm always nice to be on that list. It's quite a nice list, and yeah, man.
And you know what? Looking at the preparation for this video specifically, I can already say that I'm going to be doing a lot of learning as well. But I just try to add value where I can. And when I see an opportunity to add a little bit of value, that's what I try to do. So
you want to start with that? Kind of give people an idea, because it seems like maybe you're a data scientist or something.
Yeah,
in that
so
way.
I'm a data analyst for a healthcare facility. So my specialty is not specifically in crypto, but I do have a pretty broad background. I have a bachelor's in kinesiology, and from that, kind of turned that into getting certified in Python, SQL, Power BI, and then kind of helping replicate profitable business behaviors for the companies I work for. And it just led me to become really interested in crypto, especially the first principles that when I found Richard Hart specifically, I was like, wow, this is something serious. So it's funny.
Yeah.
The way I got into crypto, my buddy was in crypto ever since high school, and I was a class of 2013 for high school. And so he was buying Bitcoin back then in 2013. I never heard about it. And so he hit me up, and of course you tell people about it when it's at the top. So he started telling me about it when it was in like 2017. I bought like as much as I could at the time. I was in college and broke. But it all went down. So that was like my first experience from like the 20K top, and then watched it go down. And then I had the how would you call it, the what's not an experienced buyer. What do you call it? Not experienced buyer. I was like
amateur.
Yeah, amateur. But what's the signal for the bottom when you're like, oh, everyone thinks it's dead? I was that person.
Oh.
I was the person who thought I was
retail.
I was retail. I was literally retail. I was like, this stuff is dead. It's never coming back. I don't know why I bought it. And then I thought I was smart because like I got out at like, I don't know, I watched it go down to like 12 and I got out, and then it went all the way down to 3.9. And I was like, I'm smart. I was like, this is great. And then of course, after that, it just went straight up from there. So then, that kind of proved me wrong. And so the same guy belonged to this Discord channel that this like paid Discord group that we make fun of now, because you shouldn't be in any of these Discord groups that are just charging to like pump and dump. Everyone knows about that now. It's pretty standard practice, especially in the RH ecosystem. But he was part of one, and they were talking about how Hex was a scam and how Hex is terrible and whatever. And so he hit me back up. This was like day 500 of Hex. So he hit me up and he was like, hey, I need you to look into this, check this out. So I looked into it and I told him, I was like, dude, this is the next level of crypto. Like, this is insane. I've never seen anything like this. And I was like, trustless yield. And like, it just, the more I found out about it and the more I was like watching Richard when he was like in heyday prime time, just pumping out streams and like dropping knowledge that no one else was talking about. I really got addicted to it. And yeah, so obviously went the ride up. I'm here for the ride down. I've been buying a ton more, especially recently. I like to say I called the Hex bottom. I drew the chart. It's still, we can still go lower, and I would be happy if we did. I mean, I would love to buy more. I'd be happy to say that I'm wrong, but I do still think Richard's call is definitely still in the cards for Bitcoin. But as we saw when Bitcoin dropped 55% from 65 and his top call, Hex kept going on to make new all-time highs, did like a 30x past that. So I think it's entirely possible that Hex is decorrelated and Bitcoin follows Richard Hart's call, but that's up for debate. Obviously, it's all speculation.
Yeah, what's the? Do you have the tweet where you called the bottom? I can
I did. Yeah.
I can find it real quick. Just curious because I think it'd be interesting to show.
I drew the parabola. Yeah, let me see. I kind of did the same thing Richard Hart did.
Oh, okay.
If that means anything. It wasn't on the day. It wasn't on the day, but it was in the same week. So his like top call for Bitcoin was like, I drew the parabola, I drew it falling out of the parabola, and he called the top on the day, which is actually next level. But I drew the chart. I saw a parabolic, and you know what? The reason I kind of drew it is because I heard this recent TA theory that if the price moves beyond a certain trajectory for an extended amount of time, it can't sustain it. And so I was like, we've been going too steep down for too long for a product that has product market fit, and long-term viability, walled garden, a growing community, all the numbers that you don't see. Well, you can see given all the intelligent people we have in the Hex community with the tracking websites and whatnot. But so all these measures that indicate positive action in a community weren't being reflected by the price. So I was like, okay.
You want to drop the link in the private chat and I can throw it on the screen?
Yep. Scrolling to it right now. Sorry, yeah, I went on a bit of a rant there, but okay, here it is. Copy. You want it in the YouTube chat, or where do you want it?
If they're in the private chat on StreamYard, then I can copy it from there.
So.
Okay.
Bit of a gloat. But yeah, it was the same thing that Richard Hart did. I was like, you know what? We're going to run with this. And it did okay. So I was like, all right, whatever.
Okay. And this was on...
So I quoted my previous one from December 22nd.
Okay.
And I put the chart back up. I don't think we're going back down.
17.
But I think it's entirely possible that Bitcoin goes back down. So...
So you think Richard's call is still intact, but you think the Hex bottom is in?
Precisely. Yeah. Look, Richard Hart himself said that products with product market fit and numbers that are growing don't typically go down more than 95%. We hit a 97 point something percent bottom. I think we can return to those levels. I just don't see it happening.
Gotcha.
Entirely speculative, but for entertainment purposes, I don't think we go down. No. But Bitcoin has a lot of negative externalities. It's got the Mt. Gox coins. It's got all the hacked coins. It's got a lot of stuff working against it. But we could experience those things later down the line. So from a timing base, it's anyone's guess.
We got Benevolent Wells. We have PulseChain launching. We have just all kinds of good news in 2023. Bitcoin, we'll see. Yeah, definitely Hex seems to be in a better position community-wise and just everything, man. This is I think you found the right place, the right community.
Exactly.
Cool. Let's get into the well, I want to say PulseChain, but I think with PulseChain, you kind of got to start with Ethereum. So It's I just want to go through some of the background information because the last couple streams I did, I just went straight to the clients, and that's kind of like zooming in the details, but I'm not sure a lot of people understand exactly how the nodes work, how the clients work, and how each piece kind of fits into the system. So, and also, you know, one of the reasons we talked too is you had so many really good tweets that I'll go to your Twitter. I'll just save it here for a minute too. I got the tweet saved that I can pull up, but you had some pretty good tweets, just explaining about, you know, about Aragon, about syncing, about Merkle trees and all that. And I thought, wow, that's super good information to synthesize and have for the community. But we'll get into that in a minute. I do want to just go through.
I also like to troll. That was a video of Peter Schiff there ever since he had the Richard Hart debate. So I like to troll a little bit as well. But you know, like I said, I provide value where I can. You know, you shouldn't punch a man when he's down, but you know, that was just a funny video. I couldn't help it.
I saw fentanyl and I saw IV drip and I saw lollipop.
Yeah,
those three. I'm sure it's a funny video. That's all. I don't have audio, otherwise I would play it. But
no, yeah, it was more of just he looks exactly like the guy. I was like, wow, okay, that's Peter Schiff.
Peter Schiff with a sling and yeah, that's funny. All right, so nodes and clients. So get through this, just a little bit of dry information, but I thought it was pretty interesting. I think the Ethereum website had a lot of really good, just like fast and easy, quick hitting points for it. But in case people aren't aware or can't really zoom into what you know, we've been talking about, a lot of the updates that Richard's been saying, that the reason that Ethereum, you know, we're forking Ethereum, so that's the reason that a lot of this stuff, that when we talk about Ethereum clients and nodes, all of it's going to translate one for one or just have slight differences to PulseChain. That's why it's important to understand the background of how these work, because essentially you're going to be using that to build upon for PulseChain. Like in the beginning, I said I was you know, setting up an Ethereum node on Testnet to get ready to figure out how to do it for PulseChain, because it's going to be like, okay, I'll just switch some stuff over, maybe do a little bit of, you know, nuanced PulseChain stuff, but all for all, it's a lot of it's the same stuff, the same clients, just forked and made for PulseChain, which is seems to be the bulk of the work that's going on to get preparation for testnet right now. So Ethereum, distributed network computers known as nodes. Okay, sure most people are familiar with that. After the merge, one of the biggest things that happened was, instead of proof of work mining, instead of just having a client that just mines transactions, you now have two different kinds of clients. You have execution and consensus layer clients, and they work together to basically keep track of the blockchain, validate transactions. You have the consensus part that does the validating of transactions. You have the execution clients that keep track of the blockchain data, and they work. And I'll pull up some diagrams here in a minute too, which maybe from here that make more sense too. But essentially, not this one. Yeah. So Ethereum client, beacon node, execution engine. Again, they kind of work together. You can have them on the same server, all that, and then peer-to-peer. They're talking to other nodes, pulling down data, syncing the blockchain, all of that. So a node is defined here as any instance of a Ethereum client software that's connected to the network. So again, post-merge, Ethereum consists of two parts: execution layer, which is where the execution clients live, and the consensus layer, where the consensus clients live. So again, there's a lot of different words and just different ways of saying it. The EL client, ETH1 client, but that's gone now. Just known as the execution client. And that's your Geth, Aragon, I think Besu. There's a few different ones there. And then the consensus clients, ETH 2.0, also known as beacon nodes. It comes with validator binaries as well. They actually implement proof of stake, and they enable the network to achieve agreement based on validated data. So that, again, they work together to make the network work as far as validating transactions, and everyone, the blockchain being synced and everything being good in that way. So again, all the complexity I talked about before, it just got super interesting. And like, if you're going to go try to set up a test net, some people are like, oh, don't use this one, use this one because this one's a mess. The merge basically split a lot of the documentation. It made some things that were pre-merge on the border, it's not so clear. So I've tried to dig through a lot of that to try to really help you understand how this stuff works. And we'll just go through just another minute or two. But node types, full node stores all the blockchain data. and then it can participate in block validation. That's how you get paid. Some of the fees are burned, and then the priority fees, instead of used to the wallet of the miners would get filled with the mining fees. Now there's priority fees that you can delegate to go to a wallet to get paid the different priority fees in ETH 2.0. And then the light nodes are basically, I won't go into the details. They do light stuff. They're not a full node. They help with just the scalability of the network in a few different ways. And then archive nodes, they store everything, I think, since Genesis, and they have a huge amount of data, and you'll probably never run one of those, so not super important. Now, why should I run an Ethereum node? And you replace Ethereum with PulseChain, same difference on this part. Benefits to you. So running your own node enables you to use Ethereum in a private, self-sufficient, trustless manner. You don't need to trust the network because you can verify the data yourself. So that's why when you set up MetaMask and you point it to a different RPC interface, you're just pointing it to another client. And you can set up a local client and point it to your own. So that's why when Richard says, oh, just set up your own client, you can run your own node. When he said that a million times, if you watch his, especially his older streams, that's what he's talking about. Like, you can just set up MetaMask to point to your own client because you've already verified everything, and you can make sure nothing fishy is going on because you're running it. Like, you've already did all the hard work. So you can be even more trustless. That's why you want to run it. Again, you can use your Ethereum wallet with your own node. And if you're worried about privacy and Fura, all that stuff, you can use dApps more securely and privately because you want to leak the addresses to balances to random nodes. So again, like, all your data is not getting sprinkled across the decentralized web if you run your own node and use it. You can, you can expose your own endpoints so other people can use them, but you got to be careful with that. Security, you got to get that right. There's like all these articles about people exposing nodes and they unlock their wallets and people steal money from their wallets. So you got to be careful with that. But you can run that just like Infura does, just like the ton of other RPC services and nodes out there are doing. And then what most everyone is interested in is you can make money. You can stake ETH or Pulse. You can earn fees. You can do things like that with the network. So that's why you would want to run it. The network defense, again, running your node. And then let's see, again, the different clients, Geth, Nevermind, Besu, Aragon. So what I've been setting up is Aragon for the execution client, and for the consensus client, Prism. And that's so the four clients that Richard has been forking and using with PulseChain is GoPulse, which is Geth. So it's just a fork of Geth for PulseChain, Aragon, Prism, and Lighthouse. So the last two are consensus clients, which, here they are. They'll show on here too, Lighthouse and Prism. And I think that's just different synchronization modes. Again, I'll drop this in the chat if you want to go over it. I won't spend all the time on it, but I think this is a very succinct article that explains, if you're interested in being a validator on Ethereum or PulseChain, this will tell you a lot of really cool stuff about checkpoints and different syncing stuff.
One thing I want to add in reading through there, I did not know that how decentralized. I mean, there's obviously multiple attack surfaces when you're talking about a blockchain, but the code base was a level that I had not thought of as being. So if one type of code base is exploited, there's many different code bases that Ethereum uses, and obviously PulseChain is going to use as well. But each of these have different client softwares. So I thought that was interesting. The code bases are all different.
Yeah, exactly. So basically Vitalik was like, hey, we're doing ETH 2.0 community. Go write some consensus clients. Here's a spec. Like here's the EIP or here's the spec. Go write some clients. And then, okay, all of a sudden now you got Lighthouse. Now you got Aragon, or now you have Prism. Now you have all these consensus clients. And then I'm not sure when Aragon was forked or when they started using the Geth code base, but I believe it's built from Geth in some way. And it's just much fast. So like, why are we using it for PulseChain? Because it's faster, just more efficient, a bunch of other advantages than using just Geth. But I would even ask too, so 4 different clients were setting those out to let people have a choice for being validators. I wonder what the Richard's validators can be using. I wonder if he's going to be using Aragon and Prism or Lighthouse. I wonder what they're going to be using too. But like why there's 4, why there's 2 of each kind, it's just to let the community decide what clients they want to what clients they want to use, and so everyone's not using the same one too. So diversity of clients is a whole thing you can read about as well. But yeah, I'm curious to see what RH is going to use for their validators. Should be interesting. So with that, we can get into, I want to get into some of your stuff, man. Now I gave people an intro, and again, as usual, AMA. So put any questions in there. We'll get to them when we can. But I wanted to talk about, let me throw up a couple tweets you had in regards to Aragon, now that we've got our footing, because that's what struck me as something that the community actually wants to hear and talk about and just understand. So yeah, do you want to just talk about Aragon? And then I can also throw up some of the stuff you talked about, about the syncing process and how long it may take, and your predictions.
Okay,
there, but
yeah. So let me pull this up here. So I put out a tweet about the Aragon syncing process, because when I saw that Richard put out this update, I was like, okay, from this we can deduce a couple things. So let me see. He gave key metrics that allowed me to just do some simple math and figure out how long it would take. And then he posted a link. Okay, here it is. So one of the tweets, which one are you looking at? The Aragon, what is an Aragon client? I can go through that one.
Yeah, you want to go through that, and then
Sure.
I think I have the other one about stage 7 too. I can throw up there.
Okay. So what is an Aragon client? Obviously, everyone can read it. The Aragon client is a software that allows developers to interact with the Ethereum virtual machine. As Max alluded to or said explicitly, this is an execution client. Now, execution type clients, let me see. There's basically 2 types that he's already talked about: the execution client, the consensus client. The execution client executes transaction and holds the latest state of the database of all the Ethereum data. The consensus client implements the proof of stake consensus algorithm to achieve the agreement on the data from the execution client. So before the merge, these were separate networks, but with the merge, they will work together to verify the state of Ethereum. Now I'm going to say this. Okay, this modular design is called encapsulated complexity. I'm going to say here and now that Vitalik copied Richard Hart. Richard Hart has been talking about encapsulated modular design. Bitcoin is spaghetti code. And okay, I'm just going to say Vitalik copied them. So they have this modular design now with the clients. So it makes it easier to execute and merge and enables the reuse of individual clients in other parts of Ethereum. So going back, in their syncing process, they have to go through and download what's known as a body. These bodies contain all the information needed for the Aragon client to properly interact with the EVM blockchain, including the current state and all the transactions that have been made on it. In order for the Aragon client to function properly, it goes through several stages of processing. One of these stages is indexing. So that involves organizing and cataloging all the data contained in the bodies that were downloaded. One of the other important stages is the Merkle tree, which I put another tweet out about. It's basically a data structure that allows for efficient verification of large amounts of data by using hashes of leaf nodes. So the transactions would essentially be on a leaf, and then the hash would represent several transactions. And then when you get down to the bottom, it's a Merkle root, which represents all of those hashes. So that's how you can verify many, because if you verified each transaction, it'd be incredibly inefficient. And you'd use up a lot of processing power, I guess you could say, in the processing time. So by just structuring the data in this way, you can verify many amounts of transactions in a more efficient manner. And so this is just one of the 4 execution clients. And when we got this update from Richard, he posted a link to a reference sheet that he said we don't necessarily need to use every step. What I did was, and you got it pulled up. Perfect. Okay. So I said we're mathematically 18 hours away from completing this stage 7 of 16. That's a typo of the Aragon client. So he posted a link to this Aragon GitHub page or forum, which basically gave the step-by-step breakdown of what syncing an Aragon client entails. And so when he told us that we're basically 6.5 million of 15.5 million blocks synced, I was like, okay, so we're 40 something percent done. And he told us that this is 7-hour-old news. And I basically just reverse calculated, okay, how much time did that take? What would the total time take? So how much time is left remaining? And then from that, I looked at this and said, okay, stage 7 is here. What percentage of the overall syncing time does that take? And then I added the other percentages up, which, may not mathematically be correct because the other steps could take more or less time depending on like the rate at which it's downloaded. But if you consider the same rate through all the steps, I came up with a time of 11.25 days until Aragon completion, and that was at the time of this tweet. So that was 4 days ago. 4 days ago and 7 hours or something. So I was like, okay, that's what we got. It seems to match up with some other things. It's also conflicting with some other things. So, to each his own. But my next tweet following that was, if these clients are being worked on in series, which obviously means one after the other, I alluded to the fact in my, speculative nature that could mean end of February or March, V3. And if because we have 14 devs and some of it we're left to like just the will of how these things are downloaded. Like sometimes you just have to wait. Like we're syncing an entire EVM down to the transaction, and everything has to be validated and then indexed. So, and we have to do it on this execution layer and consensus layer or client, level. So I was like, if they're being worked on in parallel or being synced in parallel, which I don't know if that's possible, it could be sometime in February. That's just my guess, because obviously if it takes 11 days to sync one client and it's the end of January, I'm speculating sometime February V3.
Well, so this is based on, so they're syncing the blockchain data. They're syncing at least the execution client on this side. There's also the beacon side, the beacon data and the validator data on the consensus clients. So I'm trying to think of, so what would be all the things they need if they were getting, let's say the code's ready. It sounds like the code is ready if they're using the clients to do the syncing.
That's what I'm hearing as well. Yeah.
If there's safe assumptions we can make, like the code is ready, now they're doing the syncing and they need to sync the execution and consensus clients. And we saw a few days ago, at least, that they were maybe halfway through syncing the execution client. And then we got the other consensus clients. I think they would take a shorter time. I'm going to guess they do. I think this is the bulk of it, is syncing the execution client and blockchain data. What else is there left to do?
I still like to imagine that Richard Hart is playing chess on he's playing 4D chess on a 2D checkerboard. Mm-hmm. So I like to just, think that, because if he's letting us know about the Aragon client, as you said, this could be the bulk of what we're waiting on. And he keeps saying that this checklist is getting shorter and shorter. So I would have to imagine that it wouldn't take as much time to do the consensus clients, or maybe those could already be done. I don't know which one has to be done first, or if there is a specific order that has to be done. I've never built a layer 1 before. Especially, I heard an analogy, and you know what? It's almost the same thing in business. When you try to change something in the middle of like doing it, it's like trying to use a new software to manage your clients or whatever. And this is just an example. You're basically swapping out the engine while you're still in the air, like flying. So, and this is a little bit different because we're taking a flying machine and building the same thing next to it. So but I mean, I have high hope. My conviction is very high. So I'm excited, but I'm sorry, what was the question?
So basically, yeah, let me mute for a sec. I was saying, like, what else is left? Because I'm thinking, okay, syncing the two clients, let's say, syncing all the blockchain data. And it sounded like last time one of the updates was they were working on Terraform, which is a cloud deployment configuration infrastructure as a code. So they basically wanted to get Terraform ready, like a Terraform config ready to make sure they could deploy in the cloud, because that's apparently where these nodes are going up. So I guess what else would we need before they're like testnet it's live, because they've been changing all the websites.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is it may have a lot to, and what I'm hearing is it may have a lot to do with the front end, pointing all these front ends to the new. I mean, and Richard Hart said this as well. We took a BSC fork and then we wanted to completely switch scope and focus on an the ETH2 fork, which everything is completely different. So, we're at the point now, okay, we've got a lot done, but we have to make sure that I think there's definitely going to be a testnet v3. I've heard talks of people talking about maybe we just skip it. I don't think there's any chance, only because we found bugs on the last one. We're like, okay, and the improvements, and people were like, saying, hey, can we get a comma here? Or, whatever, these numbers are too long, just little things like that. And so, okay, those things have been worked through, but for every single interaction that takes place, there has to be a navigation to the correct location. And we're talking about the blockchain. And when you're talking about the blockchain, and we saw this, I don't want to, I hate like pointing out things that have happened, like just with Tokenomics and the Polygon.
Tokenomics.
Yeah, Tokenomics. Yeah, with the Polygon.
I say it in an Italian way. Tokenomics. Just in case he's watching, he can laugh now.
Anything can happen, and it's crazy because on the blockchain specifically, when you launch a project, it's pretty much like launching a rocket into outer space. But once you launch it, over it anymore. So you have to do the math up front so that you can hit the orbits, and then you got like you got to hit the gravitational force. Like a lot of things are going to happen in the future, and you have to be able to predict those things, do the math, and because you can't edit it once it's on the blockchain. You can edit the front ends, and like we said, most of the code is done, or I'm hearing that all the code is done, but it's just the front ends. So I think we're pretty. I think
that's the best news too, is if we can extrapolate. Okay, the code must be done because they're syncing the chain. I think that's the key point here, is like, okay, if you have any doubt the code is done, well, they're running it. The code, if you define the code as the clients that they forked in order to make PulseChain work for ETH 2.0, they're running that code. So, and they're syncing, and syncing usually means you're going to deploy. So that's why I think the hype is real. Yeah.
It's actually a great point. I've seen a lot of positivity on Twitter lately too.
I tried to hold back. And I've been holding I don't want to create any anxiety. I'm like, nope, it'll be sometime 2024 until it happens.
Yeah, right. We see it in the hex price a little bit too. I mean, people are starting to buzz a little bit. So I mean, that's good and healthy.
Yeah, certainly. After What's the joke? After 95% down, it's went up 50%.
Right? Yeah.
It's
Have you seen those
something.
memes? You've seen those memes where it's like, I got into crypto. And then
Oh yeah,
I bought the dip, and then it's like at the bottom, it's like I took profits after
Oh
50%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also shout before we go into this, shout out to Hex Cadet for releasing the Hex Rewind 2022. Fantastic piece of work. Loved it. If you haven't seen it yet, just search YouTube for Hex Rewind 2022. If you haven't seen any of the rewinds, go back and watch 2020, 2021, 2022. Hilarious. You got Richard basically like if you're doing TikTok or shorts, there's so much material you can clip from it because this guy went through each single like some of the best things he ever said about some of the best points. Him talking about FTX. He's got dates and times on not times. You got dates on all the pieces too. Huge clips of the crying bankless guys, and Machinsky's on there. All the villains are featured. And then he has an hilarious timeline of Richard saying, what was it like? It was like a few, what did he say? Best guess 6 months in like, that was like 18 months ago or something like that. He goes from that, and it's like, it keeps getting like worse and worse and worse. Oh, a few more weeks. Every time he gave a time estimate, he clipped it. It's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
It's
actually,
great.
I'm gonna have to watch that. That's awesome.
You gotta watch it. It's worth 25 minutes of time for sure. So this is I got a couple of these. I think Crypto Sloth, shout out to Sloth, even though he stole my 100% or downtime deal. I think he is working with trying to get some data from Money Game Crypto, and this is something that I retweeted recently because I was trying to find it and I saw other people were trying to find it. So Axis tweeted what Money Gang created apparently maybe a few months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, about how high. And this is something every time I talk about PulseChain, somebody asks a question, how many X's? I'm like, oh, look at that picture that somebody created. And I found the picture they created. I have the link with me. That's what I'm showing you. Here's an example of the ICO to all-time high of L1 competitors, and even ETH itself is listed on there. You got BNB, you got Polkadot, AVAX, Cardano, Solana. You see this stuff is possible. It's not made up. It's not a fairy tale. And these weren't designed to appreciate. Like they don't have a community who knows what's important in crypto. These are like technology focused one. Imagine if we had a technology and price performance focused blockchain launching soon. PulseChain.com. Use your imagination on the top of price appreciation. Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
What strikes you on this chart? What's more interesting that people are maybe missing too?
I think about, and it's funny because like when you're people like, okay, I would call myself a parrot of Richard Hart, but like being a parrot of something, like when you're always right, like being a parrot is great because if you're right, then you're right. And without saying any, I don't like saying the ticker symbols as well, but when you look at, some popular layer ones that go down all the time, are halted. One of them I have in mind has like 3 different chains. One is needed to send stuff, the other, and I've used it. It's terrible. And all the interactions that we did with the sacrifice, one of them, the only wallet you could have access to was on a mobile device. Like, okay, how is that? Okay. And then just, all these different things. And exactly like you said, they're not even designed to appreciate. So how high could it go? I think I just parrot what Richard Hart says. And, if you look at what Ethereum did, it did a 14,000x in 6 years. I think that's entirely possible. A lot of things have changed since the sacrifice. I hear arguments on both sides of why it's better or worse. I have trust in the decisions that are made to be the best possible outcome, because and it's the same thing that Richard Hart talks about. He's like, why would you shoot yourself in the foot? Why would you do anything less than you can? And I feel like he takes that approach with everything except the incentive coin for some reason. But
is that still happening? What's the latest on the incentive coin? I don't know.
I have no idea. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things are in the air.
Well,
But
my argument for incentive coin is always like, why would it has to have some value, because otherwise it'll just be dumped and nobody will want it. So it can't just be. I understand there's a corner for dump forever coin, but like it has to have some purpose. Like
we've seen what that chart looks like. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of references for
when
that
they just get sold. But yeah,
that would be some news. That would be some funny news if that was the incentive coin. I'll just throw this one up here too. Go ahead. I'll just leave this.
No,
one
yeah, as far as like short term, with the way that the sacrifice was done, the hype that's been built, the amount of time that it's taken, do we see a dump? I mean, I think when Ethereum launched, it took a year or two to come out. It started at like, I think the SAC rate or ICO rate was 30 cents. And then it started
35 says the chart here.
Yeah. And then it started like how many times higher than that? And it never went
$83.
Yeah. And it never went down. It never touched the SAC rate again. And then it went up. So I don't know if we experienced that. There's going to be a lot of things that happen, but I think that if you just buy into the system, you are going to be very happy with the outcome. I don't think you need to try to min-max any type of, like, you can do that if you're a gamer, whatever. Do the min-max the character or whatever. But I don't think when you're talking about crypto, especially in the RH ecosystem, you try to min-max it. The people who have oftentimes done the best are the people who forgot they had it.
Forgot they had it, or save themselves from themselves. That's what I love about Hex so much is you can do it. You can literally be like, the other day I thought about buying like a physical lock box, and I was like, I wonder if there's anything merit around putting your hardware wallet or putting your keys, otherwise whatever it is, putting your seed words in a lock box. I'm sure they make one that you can time it for. It's got a year timer, 2-year timer. And physically put the key material in there and put it. Make sure you can't just go get it with a hammer unless you're like a super junkie or something, I guess. But just there's got to be a physical device that does that. And I was just like, that is what we have. But in Hex, we have that time lock. We have that ability to stop ourselves when we have a moment of weakness or temptation, or this happens, that happens, regardless, up or down. Hey, the price is going way high. And you get both. The price, the volatility is the price you pay for mad gains. You can't sell it when it's going up. You can't sell it when it's going down. If you staked, it pays you. It pays you to save yourself from yourself. I can't think of a better system. Like, I just think that's still incredible to me.
I was watching Crispy the other day he was with Matty Allen and I forget the third gentleman's name, but he's the guy who made Hex Fire. And with all the stats, Crispy Man, yeah. Have you looked at that? Obviously, you definitely have. Okay.
Oh yeah, Crispy
the deflation of the T-share rate. You're gonna get him on the show?
I've had him on the show twice. He's great.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, the deflation of the T-share rate. The increase in hex per T-share payout. I mean, you're simulating compound interest. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time was today. I think this is exactly that. So yeah,
I haven't heard the tree planting analogy for a while. That is a very nuanced and very good one to think about too. Like, people, I don't know, can anyone connect with that anymore? Does anybody go outside anymore? If you do, you're like, that is very nice and peaceful. I like that analogy. Let me buy this crypto. But most people, I guess, they just they're on their laptop all day. But I wanted to go to this one too. This is some interesting information, which is different than the first one. So the first one was the number of X's that they made, I believe, from their launch or all-time high, all-time low, something like that. This one from 0x Coast, shout out to 0x Coast. They're making some cool stuff too. This one is the different L1s that listing their ICO price and their launch price. So from this data, we can understand or try to speculate about with PulseChain, pretend PulseChain is on this chart as a project. We know the ICO price, and then you can speculate what the PulseChain launch price. We know it launches 0, but the day of, like after it does have a price, what the price could be, and you see it. Ethereum here, 35 cents. It went up. What is that? 9x, 89x. Cardano, that looks like a 10x or something to me. A little bit over. There's a bunch of different ones on the launch from the ICO price. So some of them stayed the same, some of them 10x, and so on. But I think this is very good data, just to not make stuff up out of thin air. Basically, like we can see based on other projects what PulseChain could do. So that's why I like this chart.
So what would your price prediction be if you had to give a number to it?
Oh, I try to avoid giving price predictions or financial advice in any way, but I would think I would say it'd be more. Yeah, okay, go for it. Easy out.
My price prediction. I'm willing to stick my neck out there. I said 0.0046. From the sack rate, you're doing pretty good. We might pull back, but I think that's what we launch at. And then everyone who comes in and says technically it's starting at 0. I'm like, okay, we all know it's starting at 0, but when it actually has a price.
So 0046. So the decimal point 0046, and the sack price was 001, wasn't it?
0001.
0001.
10,000 to 1.
Okay.
So 46x
Gotcha.
Launch price. That's what I said.
46x. Okay.
Yeah, given the time, the growth, the community, I saw something about Metcalfe's law, and I think we could pull back. Obviously, a retrace, but then from there, I think we obviously continue to go higher.
Wow. So everyone who put in $10 to the PulseChain sacrifice, you could get $460 out on day one, perhaps. Or,
no, 46x. 46x. So you put in $1, $46.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I said put in $10.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
If you put in $1, then Godspeed. It's
you paid more in transactions.
I'm not interested in a conversation. I don't know. Maybe that would be like ironically an interesting conversation. So you decided to spend more on the gas fee than your stack. But okay, 46x. Well, we certainly hoping to do 46x. I think 10x, 20x, 100x, 46x. Whew, those are some good numbers. What happens if it goes 1 for 1? What if the launch price is just, it launches at 0.002, or
if it launches the same or close to what we the people who sacrificed, the people who had conviction and didn't invest the sacrifice for freedom of speech or freedom of movement, for a project that we believed in. If it's anywhere near that, I would say that the market is incredibly emotional and I would be buying more. That's what I'd be doing.
Yeah, I can't think of a scenario that would make sense where just all the projects launching, all the people involved, all the investors who've been waiting forever. I know a lot of people want to sell. A lot of people want to sell as soon as it comes out, just because they have whatever reasons they oversacked or whatever it is. But I just cannot see there not being a huge. I don't know. I can't imagine a world where there's not this just euphoric in some way. Just because, not just us, not just the people who sacked, but all the marketing, all the Twitter buzz, all the just people talking about it online and getting other people in, and especially at that price. Like, can you imagine Twitter if it just does like a 2x or something, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, amazing opportunity!" Like, can you imagine Twitter just exploding?
I'm preparing myself for both sides, because the amount of FUD that Hex experienced when it launched was severe, and it turned out to work very well. So if we get one of these things where the FUD happens, I'm still going to be diehard about it, and that's a very risky play, and I'm risk averse. I have no problem doing that. I'm at a position where I can take chances and be fine about it. But so if we do that, then that's one thing. But yeah, I'm excited.
What about PulseX? What did you sack for PulseX or did you,
yeah.
are you excited about that? Okay.
PulseX was even. Oh yeah, okay. The thing I was gonna say is never. Oh my gosh, the marketing has been built into it, and I'm talking about PulseChain. The marketing has been built into PulseChain. That is gonna be like severe. Like we've never seen anything where you have that many people with things of value in their wallet, like already. They're gonna go check it out. They're gonna be like, oh, I mean, you think about how many wallets are on PulseChain, or I mean on Ethereum.
On Ethereum,
something million. There's millions.
Good question. Yeah,
there's millions.
Many Ethereum wallets. We have the power.
Unique address, 186
unique
million.
Addresses.
221 million.
Yeah, 219 million.
There are going to be 221.26 million PulseChain addresses, unique. Unless, we obviously get rid of some. We're not going to give them to Mt. Gox. There's going to be a select number that Richard Hart has said that we're not going to let participate in our ecosystem because they are negative for the entire space. So,
like the no-fly list, get the
exactly.
no pulse list.
Yeah. So yeah, PulseX. I'm even more bullish on PulseX. I haven't heard anyone else, and like I've looked, but there has never been a coin like this where real world transactions translate into buy pressure and increased scarcity. So there's this, and I put out a video. This might have been a year ago now, but when PulseChain SAC was announced, and I'll shout him out. I basically copied K4K Crypto, but he was talking about it. But this idea is original. This idea is my own. In sports, there's like a concept, especially like you think about basketball, right? You score a point, you get obviously 2 points. Like you score a layup, you get 2 points. But you take the ball from the other team and then you score. You scored 2 more points, but you didn't just swing the game 2 points. You took away the points that they had and then you scored. So now the net is higher, which is the same concept in PulseX. Like when someone transacts, they buy up the price and the coin itself becomes more scarce. So you win twice. Like the net is higher than if one or the other just happened. A lot of people burn their coins. They burn. Are you allowed to swear?
Sure. Yeah, you're my guest.
They burn the fuck out of the coins.
Me to do. There you go.
They burn the fuck out of the coins, and they're like, "Oh, we only have a couple coins left," and it's like automatically scarcity does not equal value. When you're transacting on PulseX, anyone who wants to dump their shit coins, you are going to benefit from that. Not only that, people are going to want to market to you through one-sided staking. You are going to have access to all of these airdrops. I heard someone talk about this on Twitter the other day. This is going to be the new mechanism by which people airdrop coins to people. It is free marketing to anyone who has a PulseX coins. They're going to give you coins, and who else would you rather give it to? We don't sell. we don't sell. So it's like all the price cares about in speculative instruments is that more people buy than sell. And who better to give your coins to than people who don't sell?
It's true. Community ethos. I got a question here from Anthony. How is PLS going to be deflationary forking ETH? ETH with all the transactions barely deflationary, but having someone could explain this to me. You want to take this?
I heard it's not, but I don't know. This mechanism, I don't know if it's. You would know more about it than I do.
Just top of my head. So there's still burning of ETH as far as I know in ETH 2.0. And then there's priority fees. We had another question too from UFO about like how do you make money in ETH? And that's one of the things setting up the validator you can do is you can set a wallet, set up a wallet that's like all the priority fees that people choose to give for transactions. You can earn those fees, and I think some of them are burned, or I forget how exactly it works. But
everything changed, so it's we're forking ETH. Whatever ETH does, it's basically that with a few parameter changes. I don't know.
I think some of it's, and like don't quote me.
Tokenomics can be different. I mean, obviously, there's a million times more coins. The way in which those figure out, the way in which those coins are. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to say you reminded me of that's something that Dipcatcher Tantanamini brought up the other day. That Richard talked about of how they're trying to fix the slots because all the numbers are crazy now. And they got to like figure that out with ETH 2.0. I don't think it's a big problem or anything, but that's the only other thing that I was like, oh yeah, they got to do the numbers deal, which is apparently different now with ETH 2.0.
Yeah. So with Windows applications, and this, I hope this ties in. With Windows applications, you used to download 32-bit size, and then I think Ethereum is 64-bit size, and then we're moving to 128-bit. So like our numbers are much, or wait, is it 256? Or I remember Richard tweeting something about it. I wish I knew precisely.
Well, I got his Twitter, so let's see. What was it?
He tweeted something about the number of digits. You might be able to search the digits. I think he used the word digits, or 256. Yeah.
Let me do latest. 2. Maybe on this one. Oh, this is about the validators. You said Richard digits. Yeah, chat. If anyone has a link to him talking about that, paste it in there, please, or tweet at me. Yeah, I'm not finding it.
Do from Richard Hart.
Is that a thing you can do?
From colon. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And then digits. I think that works. No, it doesn't. There's also an advanced search. Yeah, but okay. Well, anyway, the number of digits increase. Yeah, I don't think that'll be a big problem anyway.
Slots. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if anyone has some foo on that, let me know in the chat. Let's see. Anthony said to ask the question.
I think everyone will be incredibly happy. That's what I think. If people aren't, I would say that the market is wrong, and I would say buy. Like if I was, and I am going to be doing it, and I'm not, I used to be a financial advisor, so I don't know if I can give financial advice. I'm not, my certification is no longer active, so this is not one of those.
they Jordan Petersoned you.
Right. Well, it expired, yeah. Jordan Peterson you.
I was watching him on Joe Rogan today, and it made me think of that.
Yeah. They came after him.
It's
freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech. That's what we sack for. That's my only concern. Tokenomics have changed. I mean, so the engineering background side of me is like, I want to know exactly how the tokenomics have changed from BSC to ETH 2.0. But the other side of me is just like, Richard's going to fix it. Like it's not even going to fix it. He already like 4D chess, like he's already 10 steps ahead of everything. So he's already, okay, if we're pivot to this, then pump metals are still there for this. Oh, this changes. It made it be better. I think I heard someone talking about it recently. I can't remember who, but they were like, okay, it could even be better now with ETH 2.0 for certain reasons, but they're different reasons than the pump metals we had for the BSC.
It's funny. I can pull this up. I DM'd KDPLS and I brought up these same concerns, and I was like, hey, some of these things are different. Can you tell me why? And basically, the things that are wrong with BSC are going to be, they're obviously not a problem with PLS. Ethereum is a proven system. So the things that we sacrifice in terms of like transaction speed opened up different vulnerabilities, and we have switched that into more security. So Richard Hart highly values security, and I think that's where the stat points went.
Yeah, just everything he designs. It's just the fundamentals are just, I don't know. It's like the question of which one is better is kind of like, I mean, people ask like, is PulseChain or PulseX going to do a 10,000x first, or which one's going to be better performing? It's like, do you like ice cream? Well, you got 2 scoops of ice cream, and what's the difference in having 2 and 3? It's like you still got ice cream. The ice cream still tastes good. So like even worst case, fundamentals go down 10% or they go up 10%, whatever it is. Like it's not even.
So to shout out KDPLS, this is what she said. Our Binance fork wasn't decentralized. There was 33 validators. They could collide and shut down the chain. The ETH fork, you cannot. It's literally unstoppable. Can't be tampered with or stopped or rolled back. Truly decentralized. The ETH consensus removes validators' ability to arb through blocks because they don't get to see the contents of the block. The execution chain fills the block, which is what we talked about earlier with the Aragon client. That is the execution client. So they can't see the contents of the block, especially with the Merkle tree. That's the modular design. The execution chain fills the block and only get to see the clients after selecting the blocks. They can't tamper or arb through it. It's censorship resistance. So as far as the tokenomics, though, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see some chart in the future. Somebody will make like, hey, before and after, and they'll highlight like all the good things that are better. I'd say, sure, there'll be some cherry picking, but that's where we are, and I don't see anything.
Still do great. I think I'll still do great. I like PulseX more anyway. I don't know why that's controversial, but I do. I like PulseX more. I think PulseX is great.
Everybody's got their favorite kid.
I think Hex is amazing, and I hold all of them. So I'll be great no matter what we do.
Got 3 scoops of ice cream, right? You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. Super good conversation. Yeah. Any last words? Any notes?
Follow me on Twitter, Hexhide Official. I used to have a YouTube, but I might start doing videos again. But follow me on Twitter. My tweets are fire. Hexhide Official. Thank you.
Hexhide Official, and
thank you for having me. Like I said,
man.
You're a behemoth in the ecosystem now. So it's cool.
Thank you.
Cool watching you.
It's I provide value, and it takes care of itself. That's what I tell everyone. It's like, they're talking about streaming. I want to be a streamer. What should I do? And I'm like, just provide value. Do whatever you can. Go do postcards. Go do streaming. Go do blogs. Go do videos, tutorials. Get ready. Prepare yourself because storm is coming. And PulseChain Testnet V3 seems to be
everyone do the TikTok thing. Follow Furu Finance as well. I'm going to shout him out.
Furu.
Do the TikTok. Use ChatGPT for everything. I've used it for everything now. So
it's pretty awesome.
Anything you don't understand, throw it in ChatGPT. Create content, put it out.
Yeah, you can ask ChatGPT to create tweet storm for you about PulseChain. I did it. Did the stuff like that before.
Yes. So, we're going to do the tweet strategy, and just the more people who do it, it's going to barrage the algorithm, and that's how we're going to be successful.
Algorithm barrage. #Hex. Yes, I love it. All right, man. I think, let's see. I'm going to be streaming every day this week, I think. I'm either going to be on somebody's show or I'm going to be streaming. So you started my week on Sunday for this one.
Nice.
100% uptime number 16. First one I've had for a while. It's my weekend stream where I have a surprise guest, and I try to look and do it during a slot that no one else is streaming, so most people can watch. So that's 100%.
That is so cool.
That's the idea.
That's awesome. I love that.
You brought us back, man. You brought us back with number 16.
I'm gonna turn the bell on, and I'm gonna be watching. So that's awesome.
Awesome, man. Good to hear it. Yeah, everyone. Like I said, I'll be streaming a lot this week. So look out for that. Hit the bell if you want to be notified. Scivive and 5555, everyone.